Kendall Hall. Whether you love it or hate it, it's certainly an icon on TU's campus. But what you might not know is that the building you know today as Kendall Hall wasn't the original Kendall Hall. The University of Tulsa was originally founded in Muskogee, Oklahoma as the Presbyterian School for Indian Girls in 1882 with the goal of offering primary education to young women of the Muskogee Creek Nation. 12 years later, in 1894, the school was renamed to Henry Kendall College, after Reverend Henry Kendall, Secretary of the Presbyterian Board of Home Missions. The school struggled in Muskogee, and eventually the Tulsa Commercial Club made a bid for the college to be relocated to Tulsa. Tulsa was a much smaller town at the time, but had just started booming thanks to a recent oil discovery at the Glen Pool oil fields. The club offered $100,000, or around $3.5 million in today's dollars, and 20 acres of land if the college were to move. They also promised that streetcars would be built to transport students from campus to downtown. In September of 1907, 2 months before Oklahoma became a state, the school opened to 35 students in Tulsa. These students attended classes at the First Presbyterian Church until the college could build its own buildings. The following year, the first building opened on the new campus, Kendall Hall. This original Kendall Hall sat exactly where current Kendall Hall sits. Kendall Hall wasn't just part of the college, it was the college. It contained the administrative offices, classrooms for every subject, an auditorium that doubled as the chapel, and the library. And on top of it all sat what should be a familiar sight, Kendall Bell. The tradition of ringing the bell after a senior's last final started around 1910 and was a much more dangerous journey than it is today, requiring that students climbed the 5-story building to get to the bell. In the years that followed, Kendall Hall would gain company, first by Robinson Hall, a dormitory, followed by the President's House. McFarland Library was built in 1929, shortly before the Great Depression caused economic hardship on the now renamed University of Tulsa. While Kendall Hall started as an all-purpose building for the university, as more buildings were built on the campus, its functions became limited. The construction of Sharp Chapel in 1959 moved the spiritual center of campus out of Kendall, leaving its theater solely dedicated to plays and productions, and the rest of the building only for classrooms and offices. After 60 years of service, TU decided in 1970 to demolish Kendall Hall. The building had structural issues, had fallen out of repair, and was the only one left standing from the early years on campus. Before it was destroyed in 1972, Kendall Bell was lifted off of the top and placed in what is now known as Bayless Plaza. Because the building was not torn down until 1972, there are still some living students who had class in there. A few years ago, a photo of the building was shared in a Facebook group, and some former students spoke about their time in the building. "I loved old Kendall Hall, despite its many discomforts," wrote Jean McKay Jackson, a 1969 graduate of TU. "It was not air-conditioned, and on hot days the windows were opened. There were no screens, so pigeons often came flapping into the classrooms. There were always a lot of pigeons' nests in the ivy and on the window ledges, and even with the windows closed, you could still hear the birds." The film she references, which was shot by Michael J. Smith, is where the videos of the building that you've seen have been coming from. It is seemingly the only video footage that was captured of the building, as consumer-grade video cameras were only starting to hit the market at the time. I spent most of my time in Kendall Hall taking classes, rehearsing plays, and building sets, and hanging out with all the other theater majors. Also was on KWGS for a short while, which had its studios in the basement. Fred Graves, a speech professor, made a friend because of the lack of air conditioning. A squirrel came to his second-floor office window each day via a tree branch for peanuts, wrote Rob Pethick, a 1972 graduate. Between all of the alumni's comments on their time in the building, both endearing and critical of it, one thing is universal: frustration. Frustration that the building was demolished instead of restored and kept as a historical testament to the beginnings of the university. While unfortunately it's too late to reverse that decision, as TU discusses tearing down new Kendall Hall, All we can do is make our voices heard to help protect more TU history from being erased. For TUTV, I'm Benton Raymer.